Okay, today we're going to take notes on 1.5 greatest common factors. Yesterday we talked about how to find the greatest common factor using a factor tree, or in other words, prime factorization. So our goal today is I can find the GCF, or greatest common factor, of two numbers using lists of factors, prime factorization, and Venn diagrams. Okay? So greatest common factor is, okay, let's go over some vocabulary. The greatest factor that two numbers have in common. Oops, need to make an M, common. Okay, the greatest factor that two numbers have in common. Okay? Now, let's look at a list of factors. So we have the number 18 and 24, and we have a list of their factors. Okay, they have already listed them for you. 18 is divisible by 1 and 18, 2 and 9, and 3 and 6. 24 is divisible by 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, and 4 and 6. Okay, those are all pairs that go together. So if I look at comparing these two sets of factors, I can say, well, we know that 1 goes into both 18 and 24, 2 goes into both 18 and 24, 3 goes into both 18 and 24, and 6 goes into both 18 and 24. Okay, those are the only ones that match both of them. So if we are looking for the greatest factor that two numbers have in common, well, the greatest or the biggest one is 6. So the greatest common factor, the GCF, equals 6. Okay, if I was to use a factor rainbow to make factor pairs, okay, I could say that, oh, well, I see that 1 and 18 go together, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. I also see that on 24, 1 and 24 go together, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, and 4 and 6. So again, the biggest one that both have in common is the 6. Okay, so the GCF is still 6. Okay, the biggest number they have in common is 6. We have now answered that. Okay, let's move on. So if we continue moving, it says, in advanced math, we factor big numbers. It works better to find the GCF by prime factorization. So that's what we learned yesterday. So here we have a couple of factor trees that we have done the prime factorization for 18 and 24. 18 can break up into factors of 2 times 9. Okay, and 2 is prime, so we're going to circle it. 9 is not prime. We need to break that into factors of 3 and 3, which are both prime. Okay, so we circle those. So the factor summary is, or the prime factorization is 2 times 3 to the second power, because there are 2 3's that repeat. Okay, if we are to do the prime factorization for 24, we know that 24 breaks into a 2 and a 12. 2 is prime because it is not divisible by anything but 2 in itself. Or sorry, 2 and 1. 12 is not prime. We can break that into a couple different ways, but we could break it into a 3 and a 4. 3 is prime, 4 is not. So we still need to break the 4 into its factors of 2 and 2, which are now prime. So we're going to circle those 2's. So the factor summary is 2 to the third power, because we have 1, 2, 3 2's, and 1 3. So 2 to the third power times 3. Okay, creating a Venn diagram helps us. If a number is represented in both summary boxes, it can go in the shared center space. So only write the number once. Okay, let me show you what we mean. We talked about this yesterday. So if we were to make a Venn diagram of these two numbers to help us find the greatest common factor, okay, we have 18 over here and 24 on this side. So we would put the ones that they have in the prime numbers that they have in common, we are going to cross off and put in the middle. So they share a 2, okay, on both sides. So we're going to cross off the 2's, put it in the middle. Okay, They also both have in common a 3 on both sides. So we're going to cross off 1, 3 and put that in the middle. Okay, this side no longer has any more 2's, and this side has 2 2's remaining. Okay, so because they do not share that in common, the rest of them go in the outer circles. So 18 has a 3 left, and 24 has 2 2's left. So now, if we want to find the greatest common factor, all we're going to do is we're going to focus on the numbers in the middle, and we're going to multiply those two numbers together, 2 times 3, and that will give us our greatest common factor of 6, which matches what we found above. Okay? So, now, on the back of your paper, I would like you to practice. Okay? On the back of your paper, your pause and try is going to be finding the greatest common factor of, let's do a greatest common factor of 42 and 24. Okay, 42 and 24. So you're going to need to make a factor tree from both first. Okay, then you're going to want to make a Venn diagram. And you will put your prime factors inside the Venn diagram. Then you will look in the middle and multiply the numbers in the middle to give you your GCF, or greatest common factor. So I would like you to practice, pause and try, finding the greatest common factor of 42 and 24. Come and check with me. Once you have passed it off, then you can start your assignment.